We want to welcome everybody to our Zoom today, and this is typically our IPA Zoom, but we're going to interview a couple of top people in our industry and then get into the individual IPA, which stands for income producing activities. I get the honor, as well as some other moderators here, to start out with Mr. Brent Palmer. He probably doesn't need an introduction. People know Brent Palmer in our company. What you don't know that we want to get to maybe a little bit later on is his story. But Brent, he's not only a top brand partner in our company, he's one of the top in the world, folks. In fact, he's in the Founders Club. There's only 4 of those in North America, by the way. That gives you an idea of where he's at. Top power ranker year in, year out, top income earner. And Brent, I was thinking this morning, if we were to run an election and elect a president in the field, I got a feeling this guy would win by a landslide. I really mean that. Just his integrity, his honesty, his blurring the lines of sponsorship, all that kind of stuff. And so probably everybody knows what I just went over, Brent, about you, but what they probably don't know, most of them, is your story. Why you're here, how you ended up here. And maybe specifically, Brent, talk about why you're working so hard right now. I know it's not because your hair's on fire, right? But why are you working so hard right now?
Yeah.
And specifically, some tips for IPAs, what you're doing on a daily basis, you and your team, a weekly basis. But thank you, Brent, for being with us. And we'll get to Peyton. That's going to be important. People want to know about that demographic, the 20 somethings, what's working for them. We're excited for that. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Give us your story, Brent, if you would. Because, like I say, people know who Brent Palmer is, but they probably don't know your background.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And hey everybody, it's awesome. And I challenge everybody to do this. Never forget your story and never assume that anybody knows it. I hear people all the time. They're like, "I know you probably heard my story." No, it really the new person hasn't heard it. And so my story is probably going to be very similar to a lot of you on this call. You know, I want to preface it by saying one of the most brilliant minds in our modern day life is Robert Kiyosaki when it comes to financial literacy. And Robert Kiyosaki a long time ago created or produced these cash flow quadrants, talks about 4 quadrants. And I reference it a lot in network marketing. I talk to people a lot about it because the world sits in quadrant 1 or 2, the majority of the world. And 90% of the population, if you're in Oklahoma, Alabama, North Carolina, it doesn't matter, Europe, they're employees. 90% of the population are employees. Guess what? That's what I was when I found this industry. I was an employee. 5% of the population are self employed, meaning they have to show up to work. They've bought a job, but they get to call like they're the boss, right? There's great career. Both are great careers, but 95% of the population fits in that 1 or 2 quadrant, right? Of it being an employee or self-employed. Very few people get to the other side in life. Their expiration actually expires in this world without them finding the other 2 quadrants. And that is a business owner. 3% of the world's population is a true business owner. What defines a true business owner? A system. So there's a direction I'm going here. So a system. So meaning a dentist is self-employed. A dentist has to show up and work on somebody's mouth, right? To receive funds. A person that creates dental franchises is a business owner with a system. 2 different ones. 3% of the population is a business owner that has a system. 2% of the population will get to a place where they get to a point where they can leverage their money to go make them money through investments. And so I share all that to share my story. So I'm sitting here. I have the best dream job in the world. I'm a high school football coach. Now, for a lot of you, that we get cussed at, we get screamed at, we get spit on, we get all this stuff. But somehow I thought it was the best job ever because I was with who I love spending my life with, and that is the youth. I love the youth. And just being able to help them through the daily life, whatever. I had my dream job. but I didn't have my dream pay. And here's what happened. Life hit me. I didn't think it was going to happen. I was doing okay. I got two kids of my own. Peyton's on here. And but then we had an opportunity to take two kids in to live with us from an unfortunate home situation. And at that moment, that unpredictable moment, I didn't have enough money. I did not have enough money to make it through the end of the month. And my credit card started getting just hammered. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now my stress level's up. And this is, so then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go be a high school principal because they make a little bit more money. And then I can run for superintendent. So I'm chasing this pyramid, right? Of trying to get to the top of it because it pays more money. And that's where I found this industry. And so this little seaweed company come to me that nobody knew about. And I guess as a high school principal, Ken, I thought it was a great idea to wear this. Our logo was "We See Weed Differently," legal in all 50 states. Now, let that sink in. I'm a high school principal teaching kids, okay? But all jokes aside, I didn't wear that shirt for a long time till I retired education. But I did go to work because I was like, you know what? What if? The what if that scares most people inspired me because I'm like, what if this company becomes this multi-million dollar company and I got in before everybody really knew and I got the market share? And I literally, Ken, drew a 2-hour radius around my office where I was a high school principal. And if I could get there by 7 o'clock, we didn't have social media. So it was literally knocking on doors and getting in homes. And I did it as many nights of the week as I could. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't that I wanted to spend less time with my family. It was that I wanted to provide something that my family didn't have at that moment. I wanted to be able to travel the world. I wanted to be able to step in at a time of need for my family. Um, and it takes income to do that. So that's where I got started. And Ken, I just went to work. And Todd Rowland asked me this morning, he's like, Brent, you know, since this is an income producing activity, you know, one of the most uncomfortable things to do is to talk about your income. You know, it's like we can talk about health, we can talk about spirituality. It comes to income, we're like, I don't know, you know. But at the end of the day, this industry has been able to create in revenue millions and millions of dollars for my family, for what I call my legacy. My LLC is legacy team building because I want to leave something when I depart this place, when I depart this earth. And I know where everything comes from. So it's like, but I got to go to work. So when I started, how did I do it? How did I get to that $1 million a year income in my 30s? And I'm 49 now. So it's been consistent. Listen, I got to get over to that other side of that quadrant as a business owner that was teaching people a system. And then I started leveraging my money to go make me more money through investments, through real estate, through that sort of thing. So I'm happy to say I probably earn more through using the money in this industry to go make me more money than I actually have in the industry. Isn't that cool? So it's amazing. So it's like, okay, well, that's great, Brent, but how? Well, number one, and a lot of this you know already, but it's consistently prospecting. So every day I get up, it's about me. It's about the man looking at the mirror going, what do I have to do today? Well, I'm personally going to speak to 5 new people, new customers, new business partners potentially daily, at least 5. I really have a celebration when I hit 10 a day. And I do this through a collection of different things. I do it through personal prospecting, meaning they're my people, but I also do it through tap rooting. So if John Oakey called me today and said, hey, I want you to prospect a customer, I want you to prospect with me a potential business partner, I get to count that. So I get to play this little game of how many people can I get in front of. Being in the presence of a prospect is the number one thing here. You know what I love about that, Cindy? There's no drama in that. No drama in getting into the presence of the prospect. Like, I don't have to worry about back offices. I don't have to worry about my income last week. I don't have to worry about anything. I just get to spend time with new people that has never done our business or our company and start having conversations and go, tell me a little bit about you. Where are you from, Ken? Hey, Brittany, where are you from? Oh, Tennessee. Oh, wow. I know somebody over in Tennessee. And we start talking, and then I have a small presentation I show. So how many times can I do that? That is the number one key to creating a $1 million business. Number two, though, is because we do live in a negative world, in a negative society, it's personal development. I have to create things every day. Everybody asks, why do you do the coach's corner Monday through Friday? You know how hard? I mean, that's hard. Monday through Friday, a word of the day. We've done it for years, and it's like hard because when you're traveling, you're doing things. It's for me. It's personal development. It starts my day off right. It puts positivity in this mind to go out for these next 24 hours and attack. So what am I spending time in personal development? My goal is to spend 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day on skill building, meaning if you spent 30 minutes a day perfecting your presentation, that's personal development. If you've spent 30 minutes a day, like diving into a book to learn skills, that's personal development. If you spent 30 minutes a day, like learning the art of three-way calls, there's all kinds of personal development you could do. So what I had to do early on, Ken, is I had to cheat time away from my day. I'm going to end with this: lie, cheat, steal. I've shared this before, but I had to cheat time away from my day. I had to cheat time away from the TV, from hunting, from fishing, things that I love to do. Just so you know, I love to hunt. I love to fish. I love, but I had to cheat time away to go spend 30 minutes in personal development. The third thing is team building and mentoring every day. Like, and I learned this from my mentor, no matter if you've got 3 people on your team or you've got 30,000 people on your team, every day dedicate time to developing your team. So how do I develop teams? What does that look like? Team calls. Do you do a team call with your team? Do you recognize your team? Do you celebrate their success? Oh, well, Brent, I just have 5 people on my team. Perfect. Perfect. Go start with that. That's what I started with. I started with just a few, and I dedicated time daily with training calls. I dedicated Saturdays to Super Saturdays. I dedicated time to opportunity meetings, um, to connect events. Like with what we have now, I dedicated time. Like, who can we get there? Right now, I'm Mexico. We got a connect event coming up. We've dedicated time getting people in, flying people from Colombia, flying people from other parts of Mexico, busing them in. We've got 2 buses coming in from Mexico to this connect event. So dedicating time, PXP. What about this IPA Zoom? How many times do we put our team on a specific call and possibly bring somebody like John Oakey on to talk about the power of the IPA Zoom? Guess what will happen the next day? All of your people will be on the IPA Zoom. Isn't that amazing? So that's the third thing, the team building and mentor. The fourth thing is, for me, is new growth in areas. So I want to share with you, if I have new growth start to materialize, I'm going to get there as quick as I can and pour fuel on the fire. Okay? I'm going to get there. Let me share something with you. As you're making money in this industry, I would highly recommend that you take at least 10% of the money you make. I can talk about tithing, I can talk about this, but take 10% and go put it back into you. Go put it back into your team. So many people in this industry start making money and they start making really good money and they don't put any money back for business development growth to scale your business. Tell me a business that doesn't put money back to go scale, that doesn't have a budget. So I've got a 10% budget in my business. When it was $100, John, that was $10. When it was 1,000, it was 100. Here's where it gets hard. When it's 100,000, it's 10,000 for the year. But when it's 1,000,000, it's 100,000. When it's 2,000,000, it's 200,000. Like you're like, you mean you spend 200? If all of my network marketing and investments are bringing in $2 to $3 million a year, that could be $300,000 that I am spending back to scale future opportunities. Has to be like that's the roadmap to getting to $1 million a year in this industry. So in new growth areas, I go. What did you do when you were making a little money, Brent, in the industry? I kept the budget there, so I budgeted money to go, right? I budgeted money to go. Brenda Carlton and them are about to head out to go to a market that's growing, to pour gas on the fire. It's going to cost them some money. So I can't overextend myself, but I've got to create the budget. So many people spend every money they make in this industry rather than putting some back and leveraging it to scale their check even bigger. Okay. That would be my next nugget, I guess, number 4. And then my 5th one is I plan, I do, and then I review. Listen, I can have the best plan in the world, but if I'm just sitting on a log, what is that? I'm just smart. I'm smart, but I'm with no activity. It doesn't really, I come across people all the time. It's got all these ideas, but they don't do anything. Plan, do, review. Go plan it first. You got to have a plan. If we don't know how to do a presentation right now, we got to go learn that. Like that's your personal development. Go learn how to do a presentation. And then we got to do it and do it and do it and do it. Peyton can talk to you about that. And then I got to review what didn't work, what did work. So I review my daily production. I get to listen, I keep a game with myself every night. Before I go to bed, it's like, did I get 5 today? And then I go back, I'm checking them off. So those 5 things is really what I carry with me, no matter where I travel, no matter where I go, that I've learned from people that are way more successful than me in this industry of what they did and what they do to grow $1 million and beyond business. So Ken, hope that was.
Brent, it's probably the easiest interview I've ever done. Just turn him loose. There are so many nuggets in there. We know we're going to run long today, folks. But, excuse me, so many nuggets in there, Brent. But a couple things real quick. You mentioned those early on. You said the unpredictable moments. Folks, statistics say about 98% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So one car breakdown or whatever, unpredictable moment, Brent, and you're in trouble, right? You're beneath living paycheck to paycheck. One of the greatest things about financial freedom here for me, Brent, is not only getting through those unpredictable moments, but in the past, when somebody has a financial need, family, friend, let's put them on a prayer chain that need will be met. Isn't it wonderful that you can meet that need? I mean, I've been blessed so much recently. Somebody, a financial need over here. I used to put them on a prayer request. No, how about we just meet that need? And that's one of my favorite things. A couple quick things that came up in the chat, Brent. One that I really, really like. If somebody asks you, Brent, what do you do for a living? What do you do for work? How do you answer that question?
Yeah, it's funny. So I get asked that all the time. So I just want to take you through it. When somebody asks me, I always say, what's more important is why I did it. I'm actually I was a high school football coach. Can I go back to my story every time? If I sit on a plane tomorrow headed in Mexico and they're like, what do you do for a living? It's easy for me to say I do network marketing and then we just go on to sipping our coffee. But what ends up happening is if I will dig in just a little bit and go, you know what is more important than that question is me telling you why I'm doing it. I was actually a high school football coach and I just share a little 2 minute of what, and you know what it does? It draws that person into asking more questions rather than me going, hey, I'm a network marketer, and we go back to drinking coffee and there's no questions asked, right? So I get into a conversation, Ken, every time, every time.
Absolutely. And two more quick things. Brent said lie, cheat, and steal. And he kind of skimmed over that. So, well, a lot of questions. What's he talking about? Folks, I've often said in the past, Brent, I'm going to give you 3 secrets here. You got to learn to lie, cheat, and steal. People are like, what? Lie awake at night and think about who you can help next. Cheat yourself out of some you time and steal good material from other people, which we probably, everything we talked about today, we probably stole from Robert Kiyosaki or somebody, right? But the last thing, Brent, before we get to Peyton, talk a little bit about the timing right now with PartnerCo. I know that's why you're working so hard right now, but why? Where do you see the timing of this company for anybody on the Zoom?
Yeah, Ken. So, first of all, consumable products that work and create transformations is a powerhouse. And I found that out. So, why for me now? Because I've lived it in a smaller version, right? Had this company, was able to grow it, create the market share, and then wake up to just auto ships alone of financial independence. Then I get positioned through not an easy story, right? We could write a book of how this all came together. But in February of 2023, when we launched PartnerCo to the world, and we're in 52 markets around the world, and we have products that are backed by science, that are derived from nature in a world we live in that's looking for longevity and preventative health, guys, that's a gold mine. Because when those consumable products run out in the cupboards of people all across the world, they'll go reorder. So now I'm positioned. So why am I working hard right now? Last year we did, let's just say $300+ million in revenue. We're positioned to scale this way beyond $1 billion. So there's this big gap of market share because guys, we have to be the ones that grow this company. So it's kind of like we're looking at the people that's going to go grab the market share. And so for me right now, what I know is I can work hard over the next several years and condense years of time that can create a legacy. And for me now, Ken, that's where it's at. Not only do I want to create a legacy for the people I love and care about, I want to show other people how to do it. I want to show other people that what we're really doing is we're teaching a system into people. And if you get really good at teaching the system of growth into people, you can create an army of people out there teaching a system. That's a business owner, by the way. And then you can leverage the money you make and all this money you make into future investments to let your money go make you money. And that's what I'm passionate about now. So why am I working so hard? Because I know there's this opportunity of time that we can run after. It's going to be a great opportunity 5 years down the road. But there's a moment in time that is really sweet, and that's the time we're in. So it's a no sleep time for me.
So good, Brent. We got to have you back on because there's been dozens and dozens of nuggets that I would love to expand on and have all the other moderators ask questions, but we'll have to do that another time. We want to transition a little bit here to Peyton. Your son Peyton's working the business now. 20, what is he, 23, 24?
Just turned 23.
Okay.
Patrick's
Guys, it's such a great story here, but Shelby Davis, which is Sherry Key's daughter, I think she just turned 25. She's had some great success, but that demographic is largely untapped, Brent. And so, if you would have Peyton talk on how you want to, but I think what people really want to know, Peyton, is some tips on what's working for the 20 something. Because, like I say, that's really untapped for us. Other than Peyton and Shelby, I don't know any other early 20s people who have been successful so far. So that can be some momentum started here with Peyton and move forward. Go ahead, Brent.
Ken, I want to say this and I'll bring it to Peyton. I want to give a shout out to two people. One is Fred Duff. Fred Duff called me the other day and he actually conferenced me and Peyton and he talked about his wisdom in the industry and just with young people doing this business. And we have the best people in the world in this company. And Fred Duff, that meant the world to me because he is an amazing leader with us and he's got a world of wisdom. But another person I want to shout out is John Oakey. On my son's birthday, don't feel guilty if you didn't do this, by the way, but John Oakey sends Peyton a video message. He has no financial ties to Peyton, but he left him a message and Peyton showed it to me and said, Dad, this is this guy's awesome, isn't he? And I'm like, yeah, we have the best people in the world in this company. And that's why we're going to 1 billion and beyond, is because when you have people that care about people, it's an unstoppable locomotive. And so coupled with products, unbelievable. So Peyton has watched this, Ken. He's watched his dad since he was knee high, grow up into the industry. Hadn't all been positive. I mean, there's been a lot of hard times, but I wanted Peyton to share with everybody why he decided to engage. Because what's happening right now, Ken, is everybody's going, I want my daughter to do this. I want my son to do this. I wished I could tell you it was that easy.
It's not. By the way, I miss Valley Barber's only 27. She's been greatly successful too. And I just met Peyton in Destin when we were there, and he and I talked maybe 10 minutes. But guys, to say I was impressed, Peyton, is an understatement. In fact, I forget your Gen X, whatever Gen you're Gen Z something. You kind of got a bad rap, Brent, that they're entitled or they're lazy. Guys, they're not all that way, and we've got one here that's not. And there's a lot of others out there. So they kind of got a bad rap out there. But so impressed with Peyton. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah. So Peyton, tell everybody what really made you snap into I want to go do this. Like I was out of town. It shocked me like it shocked everybody else here. So tell everybody what made you because you could have done this since you were 18. You haven't, but what was the difference?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on, but can you hear me or am I lagging?
I can hear you.
Yeah, your
Okay.
video's lagging a little bit, but audio's good.
Okay, hopefully it'll be good. But first off, I wanted to do this since I was 10 years old because I watched my dad. So I knew it worked. I knew the industry was incredible. But for me, the timing wasn't right. And now looking back on it, I think it was just me not wanting to step outside my comfort zone. So I've been doing this for over a year now, but I really started going all in, full-fledged, really kind of in December. And the growth that I've seen is insane. But for me, what made me start was I'm just turned 23, and my goal is to create financial freedom by the time I'm 30. And so I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I have 7 years to go do that. If I don't start doing something now, I'm not going to accomplish that goal. And so that just motivated me to start working, start doing it the right way. Because I just realized if I want to get where I want to be in the future, I've got to start today. So that's kind of why I started.
Yeah, and I got to say this, Ken. I mean, Peyton, Tammy Motley inspired Peyton because she said, start doing reels, start doing stories. So Peyton started, I mean, if you went to his Facebook page, he started doing lives. People made fun of him. His friends made fun of him, but he just kept doing it. And I told him, I said, here's your first obstacle. Like this is either going to make you quit or you're going to keep moving forward. And Peyton, what is your goal during the day? Like you're 23 years old, but what is some of the things you're doing? Because I know we got a limited amount of time to connect with people.
Well, first off, the main goal is going to sound very familiar because my goal is to get 5 people in front of a presentation every single day. And how I do that is all different things, but each and every
Hold
day.
on, Peyton. Hold on, Peyton. Do I do your presentations for you?
No, you actually, I've done them all on my own. So
First thing I told him is, you got to learn how to do a presentation, son, or you're never going to make it here. So he had to do that. And then, okay, so 5 a day.
So 5 a day, but I keep looking over here because I got some notes. But so I try to do each and every day different things. So doing lives, doing reels, obviously posting, um, sending out text, making calls, three-way calls, or just the presentation. So I want to do a variety of those things each and every day because we can reach so many different people doing those things. And one thing that I've found that was incredible for me for the lives and videos or whatever is people's watching that you don't know is watching. So obviously at first I got some negative feedback, but what I didn't know was there was a lot of people out there that was getting a lot of good things out of it, and a lot of young people watching me saying, I want to do this too. But if I would have stopped because of the negative comments, I would have never got to reach those people. So that using different ways to get what, just educate people on what we have in those ways is kind of what I try to do every day.
Yeah, and Ken, so he started growing a team. You know, it started with one and two, and then one quit and stopped doing it. Like we all start the same way. So don't think if any of you, you know what I'm talking about. But now he's kind of got a little small infrastructure of a team. So what are you doing March 22nd, Peyton?
So this Saturday, March 22nd, we're going to have an event where I'm bringing my team here in Florence to our office, and we're just inviting everybody. And we're trying to create a young movement. So Dad talked about why timing is so important. For me, no matter what age it is, the timing couldn't be any better, but especially for the young people, like we're $300 million company, but 99% of the company is above 30 or 35, whatever. So that the young market is so untapped, and that's my goal, is to reach these people. So I'm working on a brand called Next Gen, just creating that next generation. And so we're
Thanks,
gonna
Fred Duff. Thanks, Fred Duff, for the wisdom.
yes, yes, thank you, Fred Duff. But so that's what we're all about, and we're gonna create this movement of Next Gen, and it's starting this Saturday with our team.
Hey, Peyton, can I ask a question real fast?
Yes.
Because you came up in a meeting I was in the other day, and people are asking, is Peyton, is he promoting the products? Is he leading with business? And I know you have a great transformation. I mean, you lost like 40 or 50 pounds, which I didn't think you had 40 or 50 pounds to lose. I mean, I do. So are you leading with product? Are you focusing just on business with this younger group?
So, kind of both, and it just depends on the person. As far as just when I reach out to people, it's all about the business, and how to make money and all that aspect. But then, if somebody reaches out to me from a post, or if I'm just listening to somebody having an outside conversation, and I'm like, hey, I got something that could work, I'll lead down that hole with the product. So I use both, and it just kind of depends on who I'm talking to.
Yeah, John,
Brent,
and
you
I'll
talk,
say this, he actively and passively recruits. And so that's probably my teach, like just coaching him. Like if you want to get to the big money, you have a system that can create passive recruiting, means people coming to you in post, but then you also that actively recruiting people. So sometimes you get on a presentation and they haven't tried the drops, and that probably turns to more of an opportunity presentation at that point. So just wanted to clarify that.
and Brent, I can see now we're not going to get to the IPAs today, so let's go ahead and spend the last 5 minutes here. When you were talking about Peyton starting and people, maybe some friends maybe kind of making fun of you, and then you realize people were watching and now they want to join you. There's a video out there, and you've probably seen it in the past, Brent, where a guy's dancing by himself. And then before you know it, a second person joins him. Then before you know it, there's thousands of people dancing, right? And that's what I get here, Peyton. You just keep on. Now you've got a group that's starting, and it'll grow, grow, grow. And then something else you mentioned that's so vital, Brent, is for him to learn to do his own presentation. Guys, he could watch Brent all day long, and that'll help. But it's kind of like driving a clutch, Brent. Anybody on here can drive a 5-speed. You can watch me drive it all day, but until you do it yourself, you'll never really learn to do it. Now, when you start out, you probably kill the engine a few times. You might spit and sputter on your first presentation, Peyton, but before you know it, you can pull out in second gear on a hill, right? Same thing here. But the only way you learn that is by doing it, okay? Such good information there. You want to talk about that, Brent?
Yeah, Ken, I'll say this for all of you out there, and this is what I'm trying to coach Peyton in on is there's a market for everything. Some of you target menopause. Some of you target over 50. Some of you target, there's a market for everything. So when Peyton at 23 years old, he recognizes there's a huge gap of young people, meaning say 30, 40 or 39 down. There's a huge gap. There's a huge opportunity, right? You might be sitting here today and go, is there an opportunity for the Latin American market here? Absolutely, right? So you got to find, is there an opportunity for bald people, right? Apparently there is. Me and John's a part of it. So at the end of the day, you can look at different segments and go, is there a scalable business opportunity into this one demographic? And if the answer is yes, then go pursue it. And Ken, it does start with that one person dancing by themselves awkwardly. But if you'll dance long enough, a second one, a third one, a fourth one, and 10 will join you over time. But you've got to have the infrastructure. You've got to have the things in place. And the things in place is I got to know how to do a presentation. I got to know how to teach the system of growth to the new brand partner. And then I've got to have an infrastructure around when a team's growing that's led by Super Saturdays, Connect events, PXP, like IPA Zoom. I got to have places where people can attend to gain the skill they need to scale that system. And so that's the way my mind is always working. And I think what I see in Peyton is your kids are watching and they are seeing. And so a lot of the things that he's doing, it's not led by me, it's led by him just in what he's watched take place.
Yeah, Brent, what I'm going to do now, too, folks, I apologize to Brittany Lunsford, who was going to be our moderator. We'll have Brittany, but I want to ask Brittany or Cindy. I see Cindy up there, John, Christy, Reese, anybody, any of the moderators, if Tammy's out there, questions or comments for Brent or Peyton. We got maybe 3 or 4 more minutes.
I actually have one for Peyton. Hey, Peyton, you're inspiring us all. So I have, we have quite a few younger people on our team and they're fantastic. They kill it. They move quickly, but how do you get them to catch the vision? It's hard to imagine. I mean, I'm not that far past my, I'm in my mid-30s. So, but I remember I was not able to dream that big. I mean, I was a teacher and I never thought like, oh, I could be making this kind of money. How do you get them to catch the vision?
Yeah, so just watching that, I've burned the cash flow quadrant in my mind. So every time when I do a presentation, the first thing I start out with is how do I get from the 95 to the 5%? And I feel like, especially for who I've talked to, when I draw that up, show them how to get to the 5%, that paints the vision in of itself of how I get to where I want to go. And then I'll run the business part and show them how our business will get you to that and how you can use that. And then just show them also, how you can use what you're already doing with social media and stuff that the young people's already doing. Just leverage that into what we're doing here and marry the two and do both.
And folks, y'all can
That's pure gold.
Google cash flow quadrant. We don't have time to get into all that, but Google that and you'll see what Peyton is talking about there. Go ahead, Brittany, or any of the other moderators? We got maybe 2 more minutes here.
Yeah, I want to jump in there quickly. Thank you, Peyton, for everything you said. It's an inspiration. I don't know if you remember in Destin, I introduced you to somebody in my team from France, 21 years old. We didn't really speak English. I don't know if you remember. We connected you guys. I think it was you because I know
yes,
that.
I do remember. Yes, absolutely.
You remember that, huh? Okay, very good. So what would you, and thank you as well, for doing that for us. It was really cool for him because he was kind of lost, 21 years old and everybody was older. So it was kind of cool. So my question to you is, because I have a 27-year-old son, believe it or not, I do. And what I see from that generation is that they are self-centered. They believe that they know it all because of social media, and they can make money with, I don't know, crypto or this or that, or they want to have followers. And they make us feel sometimes like they know everything. They have figured it out. They can do affiliate, they can do this and that because of social media. So how are you able to show them the value of our industry and the way it works? Because they feel so much like almost like nobody can teach them anything. They know it all. That's what I see from this generation. So how are you able to turn that around?
So one way that I turn it around, I'm like literally 30 seconds from a college campus, and we have, Alani ambassadors, affiliate programs. And so one way that I use that when they bring that up is you can do all those things, but there's also they pay us 8 or 9 different ways. So still, you can still use the smart links, use your social media, but you can do these other things. And I think I'm lagging, but do the other things that will also bring revenue and use what you're already doing to go make more money. And then I'll also show them just the power of the industry and network marketing and the system, and how when you combine active and passive, what it can really turn into to create the life that you want to live. And my whole thing, I don't know if this goes into what you're asking, but my whole thing with getting that young generation is teaching them how you can create the life you want to live. Like, now's the time to do it. Don't wait till you're 60. Why do it now when you're in your 20s, 30s? That way, when you are older, you've created that lifestyle. So I teach them that, show them that. That way they can use what they're already doing, use the things we have to offer to create that life they want to live.
Well, Brent, can you imagine if we knew what we knew now at 23? Can you imagine, folks?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Crazy. Wait, so good, Peyton.
Hey, Ken, I have a question for Peyton. And I think everybody wants to know this. So Peyton's done a call with my daughter, Madison, who's 27. She has a huge Instagram following, and Peyton did a great job with the call with her. She's just not there yet. So Peyton, if you were to know Madison without me, what would your first text message to her be to introduce the opportunity, or just to get her interested in the opportunity? What do you text or call people and say?
So if I'm using Madison as an example, the first thing I would do is I would reach out. I would probably send them an audio text or call, but I would just say something like, "Hey, Madison, I just wanted to reach out to you." I would give her a compliment. I follow you. You have a great following. If you have 5 minutes, I would love to show you something that has really changed my life, and I think it could really change yours. And I'm super excited about it, and I want to share it with you. Do you have 5 minutes where I can do that? That's what I do.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's so good, Peyton. And by the way, folks, it's not just the youth or the 20s. Everybody you present to or reach out to is not going to do it at that time. Maybe never in some cases. Fortunately, we don't need everybody, right? Brent's going to love Peyton just the same, whether he's doing this business or not. By the way, Brent can be successful without Peyton. Fortunately, it's with him. So don't feel like you need all your family or all your siblings or whatever. You don't. You hope they come along, but you plant those seeds. Great answer, Peyton. And they may or may not. The season might not be right for them, but longevity brings credibility. And when they see Peyton still building in a year and 2 years, Brent, some of those people that are watching right now will come along then. So, Brent, I'm going to ask you to close us out now since it's been recorded, kind of button it all up for us.
Absolutely. All right. Great job, Peyton. Hey, here's why we have the unicorn. Like, here's why we're sitting here and we're like, your conviction, you gotta know, if I'm talking to a 21-year-old, 25-year-old, and this is why the 4 cash quadrant is so important, because an affiliate marketer they're not business owners with a system. They're self-employed. If they quit leveraging that smart link and leveraging all the work they're doing on social media, they're doing, it's over. No one is paying them anymore. So in our industry, what makes us a business owner with a system is when we start coaching. John Oakey joins me. I start coaching him, and I duplicate John and me. And then Chris joins me, and I start coaching her, and I duplicate me into her. And now there's 3 of us out there. It starts to create leverage. When you first start doing this industry, it is so you're doing it by yourself. Like it's work. You're putting one in, you're putting two in, one quits, you're grab another. This one falls off the wagon. You're like, oh my gosh, this is never going to happen. Stay the course, because you're a business owner teaching a system into people. 98% of your check when you start will be your efforts alone. New volume bonus, everything. You're powering through. But if you stay here long enough, like a John Oakey and Christy, what ends up happening is tides start to turn. And now they're coaching a team of people to where they look up when they get a check on Friday. And if they were honest with themselves, 95% of that check came from the efforts of their team and their coaching philosophy into people. And 5% of their check came from new volume bonus and their personal. That is the power of our industry, of our profession, and being a business owner with the system. So your conviction when you talk to these people, don't knock what they're doing. Celebrate what they're doing, but then show them how they can add another diversity plan in here that actually can create this money that if Ken Bailey wanted to go bear hunting for 4 weeks, he can. And his check won't tank because of it. But for an affiliate person or anybody that's one level generation making money, they just got a job. If they leave for 4 weeks and don't do their work, their pay will suffer. Digital marketers, all of that. And your conviction, that's where the personal development comes from. You go pro in this industry by learning it as you grow. So it's a self-development course too. That's what I would add. And Ken, we've got the unicorn. Listen, when you sit down with people, we've got the best products in the planet for people to consume and want to reorder. We have the #1 voted compensation plan if you go drive it home and work it. And we've got ownership that is building this company to last, not a 5-year cash grab, no exit strategy. Darren Zobrist don't need the exit strategy. John Wadsworth doesn't need the exit strategy. It's a legacy for them. And when you couple all those 3 things together, you realize you're walking around with dynamite in your pocket. And that's the conviction Payton has. That's why he can sit down with people, and we all have that ability to get out in front of them. So Ken, thanks for having me and Payton on.
Thank you, Brent.
Hey, last question.
Yes, thank you.
Last question for Payton. Payton, is my head or John's head look better? Which one? Just kidding.
Oh,
Just kidding. Okay.
Popo. I'm going to put him in there.
And Popo. And Popo.
There you
All
go.
right. Yeah.
All right, Brittany, Sarah, we'll ask you to stop the recording.